Advisory Committee meeting of January 13th, 2020. We are using Facebook live streaming on Facebook Live, and there is no live interaction, but you may leave comments. The most up-to-date meeting package is on the Town of Kentville website. I wish to take a moment to acknowledge the passing of Louisa Cooper, the wife of former Town of Kentville Councillor Bernie Cooper. Louisa was a longtime resident and business owner in Kentville. Condolences have been sent on behalf of council and staff. This meeting is called to order. Have all of the councillors received and reviewed their meeting packages? Does any member of council have information pertaining to a matter before this council which has not been publicly circulated? We will be voting by electronic ballot on all matters except administrative. Are there any conflict of interest issues we should be aware of before the meeting commences? CAO Rice, could you please take the roll call?
Yes, Your Worship, everyone, all councillors are present and accounted for, and all staff.
Thank you. You have before you the proposed agenda. Are there any additions or deletions? I have two immediately. The first is a deletion at 8A, new business, dangerous and unsightly administrator appointment. This has been carried out directly through the CAO as per the MGA. And the second is an addition, index item number 10 in camera. Item D, an update on legal. Councillor Maxwell.
Yes, I'd like to have the code of conduct added to the agenda, please.
Councillor, your request to add the code of conduct to this agenda is denied, as we have a full agenda, and additionally there's no appetite to hold the special council meeting that was set by this council through motion on October 28th, 2019, item 5A1. The CAO sent an email on the 6th of January soliciting input. Having received only 3 positive inputs for the meeting, it was not scheduled. The matter of code of conduct is one that has come before this council numerous times, and to add it to tonight's agenda would not be beneficial, as we would be debating after the business meeting. We can, however, I'm not finished.
Fine.
We can, however, set a date at this time for a special council meeting prior to January 27th council meeting, if that is the wish of council.
I would like to add that this item was supposed to be brought before the public tonight.
That's correct, at a special council meeting.
And yes, and that was advertised, and we were going to have a discussion on the code of conduct.
That's correct.
And I believe that we should not be sweeping this under the carpet. It's something that the public expects us to deal with tonight, and I think according to Robert's rules, if I want to add something to the agenda, that is not to be denied.
Councillor, I will repeat again that we have a full agenda. This item, if it goes on the agenda at the request of all of the members of council after a vote, it will be done after the business of council. So I will put it out to you. Those in favor of adding this to the agenda, please signify by raising your hand. Therefore, it will go on the agenda.
Thank you.
At item number, it will now be 11A, Code of Conduct. Are all members of council prepared to debate as per the direction provided on the October 28th meeting for the Code of Conduct? Have you all done your red lines for the document? Councillor Savage.
So the code of conduct that we're referencing, because I have a couple of notes from it, 2 items actually. So it's as per it is under our governance section, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, then I don't. Yeah, great. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on. If I could have a motion to accept the agenda with the additions and deletions. Thank you. Second. Thank you. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. You have before you the minutes of the December 9th, 2019 Council Advisory Committee meeting. As distributed, are there any errors or omissions to these minutes? No errors. The minutes are approved. If there are errors, they will be annotated in red, and the approved minutes will be added to the electronic meeting file. There being no errors, we'll move on from there. Presentations. To our presenters, thank you for appearing this evening to make your presentation. You will be provided with 10 minutes to make your presentation, followed by questions from council. Your report is public record and will be considered by council for recommendation to the next council meeting. There is no decision this evening. You may wish to remain until we conduct new business, at which time we will be making a recommendation to council for further consideration. No final decisions will be made tonight on your request. So the Kentville Business Community Annual Report, we have Zach Best and Wade Tebow.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. You've received our full annual report along with our financial statements and strategic plan. So I'm going to be doing an overview of that report here tonight. So in summary, 2019 has been a pivotal year for KBC. We've successfully implemented several programs, events, and initiatives. We've continued communication and cooperation with businesses, surrounding community, and the town of Kentville. We've built stronger relationships with various groups, including the Valley Wren and the Acadia Entrepreneurship Center and others. And through our partnership with the town of Kentville, Kentville has seen continued growth in its business community. This year has gone through phase 4 of the facade program. To date, 9 projects have been completed, leading to a total investment of over $30,000 in downtown infrastructure. This continued support helps create a more beautiful and welcoming community in our downtown. And we really couldn't be happier with how this program has gone and how it will continue to go. These are just some of the pictures of some of the programs that were done this year and projects. And we're especially proud of the mural done at Main Street Station and the attention it received over Apple Blossom. We've continued to grow our online presence through our Facebook pages, Instagram, as well as our website, which we've been working on revamping. We've also been researching and testing of various forms of communication. What works, what doesn't, what catches people's eye, and working with that. And in doing so, developing our new comprehensive plan that will help us to effectively communicate our message. And we've done this and through more of a focus on photos and videos. We've successfully implemented 2 major downtown events. One, of course, was the 5th annual Kentville Multicultural Festival, which saw over 2,000 people come to Center Square on that day. And, of course, our Devour Kentville Sip and Savor event, which we moved into a new location and nearly doubled in size and attendance this year. So we're very happy with that. We also completed and collaborated on 8 separate promotions and supported several other downtown events and activities. One of the highlights this year has been our seasonal decorating giveaway contests. Over $6,000 worth of prizes donated from our local business community, and we've had increased participation and investment by our downtown businesses. It truly made for a magical experience in downtown Kentville this year. And you can see Gerlicher was actually the winner of our David White Trophy both in the spring and the winter. First back-to-back we've had. And wanted to throw in the Live Fashion Boutique, came in 2nd place this winter. We just want to give a big thank you to all the participating businesses and the town of Kentville as well, and staff and everybody here. The cooperation between all our organizations has truly led to a breath of fresh air within the downtown community and a bright and welcoming atmosphere. KBC also completed and approved a newly revamped strategic plan earlier this year. This document will guide the organization over the next 2 to 3 years, and the plan is more focused and defines the top priorities for the organization, which are creating and implementing a comprehensive communication plan, creating a welcoming and supportive environment within the downtown, and developing and maintaining a business registry, all of which we've made great strides towards this year. Just a quick look over of our financials. This year we're projected to run a deficit of just over $4,000, which will be covered by our cash reserves. And a portion of facade program funding this year was not used due to two major projects that didn't go forward. So that remaining funding will be carried forward to next year's program. Our major expenditures are, of course, the facade program, our special projects, the Multicultural Festival, Devour, Kenful, Sip and Savor, and our downtown marketing. And our full financials are attached on the annual report. So I just wanted to quickly go over some of the performance indicators that we've been keeping track of over the year. It shows a continued investment and support for our downtown events and contests. We've seen growth in the business community, continued success of our facade program, and growth in our communication and engagement efforts. And I just wanted to note that many downtown businesses that I've been talking to over the past few weeks mentioned that the past November and December have been one of, if not the best holiday seasons they've had since they've been in Kenful. So it's great to hear from our business community. So this year was our very first special project, and was titled #WeAreKenful. It included the creation of two major promotional videos to highlight a bright and welcoming community here in Kenful. The first video launched the new KBC #WeAreKenful, and it highlighted a welcoming, family-friendly community with a family and kids out having a beautiful day outside and going to shops. And then our second video, A Kenful Christmas Story, highlighted Kenful's small town charm and included the couple going through the stores and having some fun and just having an amazing night outdoors and around our town. In total, the project has received over 50,000 views on Facebook alone and has reached an astonishing 115,000 people so far. The feedback we've got from this project and the Kenful Christmas Story video itself has been overwhelmingly supportive and positive. Not only from the business community itself, but the broader community as well. Business community members mentioned that they haven't seen this amount of positivity and attention around Kenful in a long time, and the project received attention from news outlets including Saltwire Network and CTV News Atlantic, which I'm sure most of you here saw the great video done by Suzette Bouleveau, and it was great to see a lot of our local businesses getting some of that attention they deserve and that airtime. And we actually also received a special note from our local MP, Cody Blois, who wrote earlier in January saying, "Dear Kenful business community, Zach, I'll write to you, but I hope you can pass my message on to our entire team. I just want to say a job well done on the Kenful Christmas Story video showcasing Kenful. This video not only showcased our excellent local businesses, but drew positive attention to the Annapolis Valley as a region, and I want to congratulate and thank you for your efforts. Best regards, Cody." So it's great to see the positivity we've had around this project and all the great things that have come up from it. So finally, one of the last things that we accomplished this year was the creation of our 2020 action plan. This is a comprehensive plan that clearly lays out the actions and budget for KBC in our next fiscal year, 2020-2021, and is broken down into three main pillars where KBC will support business community members, promote the business community, and help grow Kentville as a whole. But we'll touch more on that in our next presentation.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions regarding, and you've got 2 minutes left for your next, so you can add that on to the next one. So are there any questions regarding this specific presentation for either Zach or Wade? Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Worship. So I just wanted to say thank you. I think when I look at 2019 for KBC, and when you talk about it being a pivotal year, I think it was more than a pivotal year. I think your strat plan that you did in 2019 and really working on the communications piece and the videos, and I'm really, really thankful for everything that you and the board has done, and it really, really shows, and I just wanted to pass along my thanks. So great work. Thank you.
Councillor Ballin.
Thank you, Worship. Just to echo Councillor Savage's comments, I'm a bit of a news junkie, and to sit back at supper time and watch the Ken for Christmas video was tremendous exposure for the town. And you made the comment that merchants have seen increased revenues over the holiday season. That's the key thing I look for. My concern's always been, when we ramp up the volume and sports, but are the downtown merchants seeing a return on that foot traffic? So if we are, that's great. So that's good stuff.
Councillor Maxwell.
I just want to say that over the past 3 years since we've come in, you've made a 100% turnaround in your organization. And I've talked to Wade about this, but I'm a big believer now and a 100% supporter. And so thank you very much for all your hard work that you've done for the town of Kentville and for the business community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Andrew.
Yeah, the fun factor, that's the note I wrote to myself, that's what I think of it as. And as a person with a young family, it's been part of just making it seem like, you made it a winter wonderland, and you made it great in the fall, and so many of these events. So one of the things, in terms of you as an entity being a voice, one of the things that I recall hearing 3.5 years ago was people who are business owners who were non-Kentville residents. I mean, they're obviously still an important part of our town. Are you cognizant of that? Is there an intent, that there's a broader, because there are people who don't necessarily live in town and they wonder, where does my vote come in, so to speak? They're here, they're paying taxes as a business owner, and is that part of the dialogue or your understanding of what you do?
As a business owner in town, regardless of whether a resident or not, I mean, we're here to support Kentville. Our mandate is downtown. The business community, if they're a business owner, they're part of our community. We represent them. That's where our mandate kind of ends, and that's what our goal is. So, as a vote, as a voice to our organization, absolutely, we want them to succeed regardless of whether they're a resident of the town or not. But if they own a business and operate a business here in town, we want to support them. Obviously, grow the town as a whole because it helps them as well. But that's where our focus has been and will continue to be.
And also just thank you, because I know we put you to the fire quite a bit as we were wrestling to try to understand your role and what you were trying to do, and it wasn't always totally clear to us. But I just want to echo Councillor Maxwell's comments that it's what's come out. I hope we were doing our job by making sure the money was spent the way it should be, and I just can't say enough good things. It's been you have left a mark on the town, and we thank you for that.
Thank you.
Councillor Pulsifer.
Just want to also echo the comments from around the horseshoe. Big congratulations. It was you ended the year with a bang with those videos, and I think there's so much more awareness now of downtown, of Kentville, of its spirit that's obvious now, and yeah, just a great job. The communications aspect, I think, has proven definitely worthwhile, and your third year, or my third year as an observer of Kentville business community is certainly, I'm just overjoyed with what you've done. Congratulations. I did want to ask about home-based businesses in town. Is there recognition of them in some way, or there's a few of them that don't operate downtown but maybe operate out of their home and so on?
It's been discussed ever since I think I've been a member of the board of directors on home-based businesses. One of the challenges I don't think anyone in this room can tell us how many home-based businesses there are in the town of Kentville.
True. Yes.
So what we can do is continue to do what we've done. That's continue to grow Kentville as a whole. I've had conversations with a few home-based business owners how we can help them, or how, kind of brainstorming. But at the end of the day, our resources are what they are.
Yes.
And we feel doing what we've done now and our action plan going forward is the best way to continue forward as an organization. So.
Mhm. Thank you. No, great job. Great
Thanks.
job. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, you can move on to the next one.
All right. So basically, this is our special project request for the upcoming fiscal year. But before I get into the actual request itself, I want to take a quick look over our action plan that we've created for next year. So this document outlines KBC's action plan and how it will utilize the resources at its disposal to accomplish the 3 pillars of the organization: to support, promote, and grow. Through 2020, KBC will strategically invest $159,000 to support KBC members, promote the business community, and help Grenfell grow as a whole. So we begin with our overall budget, which includes our core funding, facade funding, some carry forward from this past year and next year's, the special projects funding of $25,000, and an influx of our cash reserves of $35,000 to give us a total of $159,000. It's then broken down into specific areas for administrative, the facade program, our special project, which would be the implementation of our communication plan under the promote heading, plus $5,000 from our cash reserves, and then our KBC events program, which will be an investment of $30,000. So to begin, we will support the Kemptville business community through the strategic investment in downtown infrastructure, helping to lead to a more beautiful downtown. This will be done through our facade program, the continuation on from last year into Phase 5. You can see we have a budget of $25,000 for general facade applications, and then we've also budgeted $10,000 to be towards the mural project or more beautification aspects about it. Then we get into our promotion. So through the implementation of our communication plan, KBC will work to continually promote business community members and the town overall to bring more people downtown. So this will be a $30,000 investment, of which $16,000 will be invested in the continuation of our We Are Kemptville initiative, which will be videos created to promote that in the downtown. We have budgeted $4,500 for the purchase of equipment, so that we can, as an organization, can continually put out more content and have a real investment in our future going forward. $7,000 will be budgeted for actual promotions and ads and the marketing of this content created. And lastly, $2,500 will be budgeted for the research into the viability and marketability of a business hub within the downtown. We will help grow Kemptville as a whole and the Kemptville business community through the continued investment in community events and activities. So KBC will be investing $30,000 of our cash reserves in a new event strategy from us. What we're looking to do is create an event grant program which will allow events to apply and receive up to $3,000 worth of funding. And we will be looking at contracting an event coordinator to help with coordinating these events and helping to plan and really working to bring more events and activities to our downtown. And then, of course, we have all of our administrative costs. And so that brings me back to our actual request. As you know, the $25,000 of that $159,000 is under the special projects amendment within our funding agreement. and that requires the approval of council. So in order to continue effectively planning the implementation of our action plan, we are requesting the approval of those 2020-2021 special project funding for the implementation of KBC's communication plan as specified under the promote heading within the plan. We're not looking for this funding before the April 1st. We're simply looking for approval that we can use this funding in our next fiscal year for what we are looking to do within our action plan.
No, the only thing I will add to Zach's comments is that within the last 3 years, I think I've been a member of this organization as a director on the board. I can say that this is the first year that in November we as an organization have a concrete document completed and passed by the board and agreed to for the following year. And our ask tonight is that we get an approval from council to continue moving forward. Things take time, and one thing to make sure that things continue moving forward, we have this momentum now that we all just talked about at the end of the annual report. We don't want to stop. We need to keep moving forward, and in order to do that, we need to make sure that we're not waiting until April 1st to implement special projects for the last 8 months of the year. We want to keep planning that now, and there's no point in doing that without knowing that we're going to have the resources to do that. So that's it.
All right, well under time. Thank you. All right, are there any questions for Zach and Wade? Councillor Andrew.
I couldn't help but, I know everyone's restrained from great ideas by financial need, right? And so as I try to put myself in your shoes, you have great ideas, you see the momentum happening, and really you're saying, enable us, right? Cut us loose in a sense. And I think we've voiced that we are suggesting that we see something proven now, and that's a positive thing. Am I correct in saying that? And as you talk about and as you dream together, as I know you do, what's the wish list? Is this really part of that? Because this essentially gives a little bit more. It would give a little bit more autonomy, a little bit more self-determination, perhaps for you as an entity. Without, I'm not suggesting that it divorces you in any way from the town and from the oversight of council, but is this what you need, to go to that next place? I guess I'll sum it up that way.
We've planned for next year, which will be the final year of the funding agreement that we currently have with the town, to continue operating as we have through that entire agreement. This ask isn't anything outside of that. It's just this is what we've planned based on the restrictions and based on the agreement that we have now. We all met as a group, council and our board, and I think during those discussions it was made clear that a wish list would be to allow more flexibility. Honestly, I understand where this council maybe was coming from when we did that agreement, nearly 4 years ago. But it's been difficult, and as someone who's been on the board since then, now that this is our final year, so kind of know how this all works now. It was easier for us, but it certainly would be easier to have some of those restrictions lifted and allow us that flexibility to do what we want to do. This is simply just giving us a few more months to continue planning, so come April 1st we can hit the ground running.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Worship. So I love that you're so prepared and you've got everything all wrapped up for us. So that's super, super helpful. So we're so informed to make a good decision tonight. Talk to me just briefly about the research, the business hub.
Mm-hmm.
Are you're hearing quite a bit about that in the community, that's something that people are really looking to have set up?
It was something that we as an organization talked about probably 2 years ago.
Okay.
But at the time, there wasn't a huge need. We had individuals come down to town. We had discussions. At the time, our vacancy rate downtown was a lot higher than it is right now. Space necessarily wasn't an issue. Speaking with home-based businesses, that is a conversation I've had with a few that, you know, they can operate fine from home on a day-to-day basis, but if they want to meet with a client, maybe they don't want to meet with them at their kitchen table or their living room, or their bedroom that they've converted to an office. So to have a potential space that they could do that would be nice. Having a space where there's others there that they can work off of creatively. Also, if there's a space in that space, there are resources, all in the same building that they can access, whether it be the Wren, ourselves, the Chamber of Commerce, for example. So there's that piece. There has been discussions with Nova Scotia Community College on wanting something like that developed for students. There's also, I know that the County of Kings Council has talked about this at the Committee of the Whole meetings a few months ago. So it's out there. There's people talking about it, and essentially what we want to make sure of is that if there's discussions of one of those happening in our area, that we are out there having that discussion on whether we're that conduit to try to bring those people together to make sure that it happens here in Kentville. Then we want to be on the forefront of that, and simply this $2,500 is just to help us determine if it is a viability or whether even just to have that discussion with those other partners.
Good. Just one more really quick thing. Are you still going to do the bags? I hope I
Yes.
didn't give you. Okay.
Yes, they're ordered. We're waiting.
Oh, okay. I don't want to give away any secrets, but that's good. I just remember that. Okay. Thank you.
Are there any further questions for either Zach or Wade? This will come up under new business. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to department reports and recommendations. The directors will present their reports and will be accepted into record with one motion at the end of the reporting. Specific recommendations will be moved individually as necessary. Councillors may present questions and comments to the directors at the end of each presentation. So finance is up first. Director Crowell, please.
Thank you, Mayor Snow, and good evening to you all. Let me see if I can find this thing. I found it. So are we showing the December up? Okay, great. I love technology, but whatever. Anyway, it's my pleasure to bring you the report from the Finance Department for the month ended December the 31st, 2019. You can read the update from the Finance Department at your leisure. We're looking at a benchmark at the end of December of 75% if everything was averaged evenly over the year. On the revenue side of the ledger, at December 31st, revenue exceeds the average at 89.9% recorded. Taxes remain at 99.7% of budget. Payments in lieu of tax, we've received the federal payment in lieu of tax, and we've received a portion from Kings County related to its contribution related to the provincial building on Cornwallis Street. However, we still have not received the grant in lieu from the province of Nova Scotia. I was speaking with them before Christmas, and they indicated they would have it to us by the end of 2019. That didn't come to fruition, so I'm going to be rattling a cage in the next day or so to see where that grant in lieu is from the province. On services to other government, it records the seconded officer for Kentville Police Service, along with snow removal for Kings County, cultural charges with Kings County, along with recreation. 1/2 the secondment is recorded, and 100% of the county's share of the library lease is recorded. We've also received 100% payment for the recreation services. In fact, we've received amounts over the budget figure that we had struck this past year, and we have about $26,900 in surplus funds related to recreation services for between the County of Kings and the town of Kentville. Under sales of services, we have 8 months recorded as revenue for sales provided by the Kentville Police Service, and we have 9 months recorded for the sale of financial services to Kentville Volunteer Fire Department. Under fines, fees, and permits, this is revenue-owned sources. It's reporting above the guideline due to the collection of animal licenses, taxi licenses, and provincial court fines. Rentals show below the guideline as arena ice rentals account for the larger portion of this section. Interest exceeds the guideline as interest earned on cash deposits exceeds the budget figure, and the annual dividend from the Kentville water utility has been paid to the town. Under unconditional transfers, the province has forwarded 2/4 of the municipal finance capacity grant, along with the annual Power Corporation grant, and Nova Scotia Power HST rebate arrived in the summer. Under conditional transfers, we've received a lot of unbudgeted money in that particular section. We did budget for amounts to come from the federal government related to summer staff salaries, but we did receive $600 in excess of the budget figure. 50% of provincial law enforcement is recorded, along with 80% provincial cost sharing for active living. The Provincial Department of Communities, Culture and forwarded $10,500 for various recreation programming. Recreation Nova Scotia forwarded cost sharing of $680 for recreation personnel to attend conferences. Tie-ins provided $3,500 to the town for the operations of the Visitor Information Center. And the Rotary Club of Kentville gave the Kentville Police Service $800 to purchase bike helmets. Valley Waste Resource Management Authority returned consulting management fees paid by the town last fiscal year. And as I mentioned previously, all these were unexpected revenues. On the expenditure side of the ledger, we're reporting just slightly over the benchmark at 77.4% expended. General administration exceeds the benchmark due to the fourth quarter payment made to Property Valuation Services Corporation in December, and this is for the period January 1, 2020 to March 31st, 2020. Under protective services, firefighting exceeds the benchmark. 100% of the operating payment has been made, along with 100% of the fire area rate billed on behalf of the Kentville Volunteer Fire Department. Debt charge exceeds the guideline in all departments, but reflects the debt repayment schedule. All debt charges for the year are paid in full. There are no debt servicing charges from January to March. Emergency measures exceeds the benchmark due to wages and materials consumed regarding post-tropical storm Erin in August and Hurricane Dorian in September. Under transportation services, public transit exceeds the benchmark, but reflects the payment schedule forwarded by King's Transit Authority. It also accumulates the 2018-19 deficit position of $17,407. From King's Transit Authority, and as well we've paid King's Point to Point its payment for the year. Under environmental health services, this exceeds the benchmark but reflects the funding schedule set out by Valley Waste Resource Management Authority. Under public health and housing, it falls under the benchmark as the accrual for the 18-19 Housing Nova Scotia expenditure exceeded the actual billing. Environmental development services, other community development exceeds the benchmark due to 100% payments made to the Valley Wren and Kentville Business Community. Shade trees exceeds the guideline due to cleanup after various windstorms last year. Under recreation, programs exceeds the benchmark because most of the programs are held during the summer months. It also includes the Canada Cup Harvest Festival along with many holiday events. Under cultural, this exceeds the yardstick as 75% of the provincial mandatory funding has been made for the regional library, along with full payments of budgeted grants to cultural organizations. On the financing and transfers, on the expenditure side of the ledger, debt charge principal exceeds the benchmark but reflects the debt repayment schedule, and transfer to allowances reserves exceeds the standard as all transfers to various reserves have been transacted. Under Schedule C, which is the summary of outstanding taxes, at December 31st, 97.3% of the 2019-20 levy is collected, and this compares to last year's percentage of 97.5%. Total property tax outstanding at December 31st is $261,862, and this compares to last year's figure of $262,129. That equates to 97.2% collected in total as compared to last year's figure of 97.1%. Schedules E and F reflect the Perpetual Investment Fund, and this is for the month ended November 30, 2019. The Investment Advisory Committee met on December the 11th to discuss this report. You can see at the top of page 5 the breakdown of the investment instruments held, both cost value and market value. The Statement of Reserves, which is Schedule F, reports that at November 30th, Interest paid into the fund is $99,149. Dividends paid into the fund total $141,073. Capital gains are $165,857. And this compares to last year's capital gains figure of $118,056. At November 30, management fees totaled $20,838. And this compares to last year's figure of $25,480. The next schedules are Schedules G, which is the Town of Kentville Capital Investment Plan for the year 2019-2020. The date this was written, the program is reporting $1,310,691. And the program details are there for you. You can look through that at your leisure. If you have any questions on any particular capital acquisition or program, then you can ask the directors. They're here to answer any questions if you have any on those particular topics. Under the accounts receivable, Schedule 8 summarizes the outstanding financial receivable matters between the Town of Kentville and the Municipality of the County of Kings at the end of December. And that is my report from the Finance Department for the month ended December 31st, 2019.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Worship. The payment made, Deb, in August from the county for $79,000, $80,000 towards the sewer.
Yes.
Did they specify? I know they're not paying their bill, but did they specify what that was for?
There was a mathematical calculation of what they felt they owed, and basically that is what they felt they owed.
Total for
Total.
like since 2014.
Yes.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions? Just probably not this council. All right, well, Deb, thank you very much. Moving on to your next report, please.
My projection report seems to have disappeared.
It's only ones and zeros.
Huh? Here it is here. Never mind. Let's find it again. Here we go. All right, I'm not going to go through this. You can read this at your leisure. There's many pages here. There's a lot of text and whatnot. Hopefully you've had a chance to give it a read, but I'm going to just give you the highlights of what that whole report is talking about. We're looking at a projection report for the town operating fund for the month to March 31st, 2020, as at the end of December 2019. And this is my fourth report, and we're actually looking at our deficit position moving downwards, $2,500 from my last report to $45,400. And this is what it's made up of. Revenue is increased in the month of December, $3,100. This comes from our own source revenue, $3,100 related to fines and fees and permits. The provincial court fines are going to exceed budget, so I've increased that by $3,100. We're looking at total projected increase in revenue for the year, $36,800. On the expenditure side of the ledger, expenditures are increased $600 from my last report. We're looking at legislative being reduced by $1,000 due to savings in council expenses. In general administration, there's a small increase of $500 related to some training expenditures that have come on stream. Under police protection, we're up $5,500 from last report. We have $15,000 in overtime related to $5,000 for sergeants overtime and $10,000 for constables overtime. But the chief has reduced the office expenditures this year by $10,500 this month. And she's increased the program section, special projects account, by $1,000, all in an increase in policing of $5,500 this month. Protection under sales of service, we have a reduction of around $900, and it relates to reallocation of wages for back check services to other cost centers in policing. Under law enforcement, we're down $5,000. The chief has cut this related to savings in parking enforcement this year. Under protection, EMO, and other, we're up a very small amount, $1,500. We're still accumulating costs related to the August 30th and September 7th storms for wages, materials, and supplies. Just for your information, the total of those two storms in 2019 has so far cost the town $60,400, and that's just operating expenses. That's just wages and materials and supplies used to just sort of clean up those two storms. Of course, those were unbudgeted. Under environmental development, we're down $3,200 in that particular section, and this is a reduction by the director in legal costs projected for the year. And on recreation, we're up $3,200. Administration section is going to be down $2,000 related to savings in various office expenditures. The programs are up $5,200 related to adjustments in various programs in the recreation section. So the projected increase in expenditures this month is $600, and the total projected increase in expenditures for the year is expected to be $82,200. At this point in time, we're looking at a deficit position at March 31st of $45,400, and that's my report.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Your Worship. Under the emergency measures, other protection, where it's exceeding the budget by 68.8, have we? You probably would have said if we haven't heard anything back about any grants.
We have heard that there is disaster programming available. It came on stream last Wednesday, I believe. The information was rolled out to the municipal units. It's available on their website, the Province of Nova Scotia website. It is open to citizens, nonprofit organizations, businesses, as well as municipalities. Everybody will have their own little stream. Their application forms are up on the site. I've looked at them. I haven't seen anything for municipal units yet, but we will be talking directly with them. They'll be meeting with me and the engineer about the losses for the town of Kentville itself.
Okay.
And it'll be a face-to-face type of discussion with the MO on what our claim will be. The maximum, from what I understand, is $200,000 for any particular claim. So
Per municipality.
I believe for anybody.
Anybody, okay.
So I think anybody out in TV
Per
land or Facebook land, if you have had any loss and you have information related to with your insurance. This, of course, is if your insurance does not cover it.
Doesn't cover, correct.
The claim forms are there, and you can pick away at it. It's very helpful. There's all kinds of education on there as to what the program involves, any questions, frequently asked questions, that type of thing, plus the application forms.
That's great. So
It
that
is
might
good news.
help our. Yeah, that would be
The
one.
deadline for application is March 31st, 2020, just
Okay.
so that people know that it's one of those things they should really get to if they want to apply.
Sure. Okay. That's great. Thank you very much. That's great.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Worship. Just on the same note, in your experience, do they offer the same amount to municipalities as they do, or because of the assets?
I'm not sure. From what I saw, the maximum was $200,000. That's all I
It is,
saw.
and I'm just wondering
Yeah.
if they would up that for municipalities.
I
because-
have not had a conversation with them yet, but I mean, I'll certainly take whatever I can get.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll ask for everything.
All right, no further questions. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on. Planning and Development Director, gentlemen, please.
There you go.
For me? Oh, thanks. How do I find it? Okay. So is mine there? And up here? Okay. Oh my God. Oh, way down there. Dear God. That one should have popped right out. It was on the, okay. Hi. Good evening, Council. For the month of December, 4 development permits were issued for a building valuation of $2,000. And that brings us to a year-end total of $19.1 million in development for 2019. And again, we run on a calendar year. So we'll be starting with new numbers for January. A note, the building code regulations have been amended, which will likely reduce the number of building permits in the future, so those numbers will likely go down because some of the projects that would originally require permits, such as residential development that exceeded $5,000 worth of development, required a permit. Now there's no limit on that. It's only when something is a structural renovation or new build, that would require permits. And the non-structure, and the amount for commercial development has increased to $10,000. So though we may see lower numbers in the next, over the next little while, it doesn't mean that there isn't additional development happening if those numbers do go down. As well as they've created new regulations for tiny homes. So tiny homes will now be permitted under the building code. They still need to meet the Part 9 of the building code for residential homes in terms of energy efficiency and those kinds of things. There's just some of the changes in terms of steps and things like that will have been amended. So we're looking at just some of the other municipalities around the area and other jurisdictions in terms of how they deal with it under in a zoning bylaw, if they have a special zoning provisions for tiny homes, or are we going to just leave them in and allow them as just single-family homes, just tiny single-family homes within our R1 and R2 zones. We processed 2 subdivision applications. No dangerous or unsightly premises complaints were submitted, and zoning certificates, there were none provided. We still haven't heard back from Goose Cap Curling Club with regards to their request for some of the land that, a portion of the street that they were hoping to acquire from us for the barrier-free entrance that they need to put onto the building. But at least this time we do have Crescent Avenue has been migrated, and that's one stop of the project that was required to be done. Former KCA lands, just heard back from them this week that they're, or last week, the end of last week, they're on hold right now looking for a new architect for the Ryan's Park aspect of it. They've got their architects still on board for the larger apartment buildings, but their commitment to the project was to try to get Ryan's Park section of the development up and running first, or at least start it. And so they're now in the process of trying to find somebody new as their architect. Green Parsons Development, they're on schedule with their development. I've added a link to their website. I don't know if anybody has seen it yet, but it's really, really good. It's really great, and I think it'll bring a lot of people to town. McDougall Heights, still working with Parsons Investments on approving a 26-lot subdivision between Acadia and Dalhousie. We're working on some of their as-built and street design and subdivision or parkland provisions for that subdivision as well. And business park interest, the business park interest in the land still continues. And one of those subdivisions I mentioned earlier was to provide for 3 additional lots that are ready to go for sale. And the rest is just day-to-day activity.
All right, thank you very much. Councillor Ballin, please.
Thank you, Worship. Director Gentleman, a small home, tiny home, what square footage is that?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I think it's the maximum is 600 or 650 square feet. They're tiny. Oh yeah.
There's a home.
Hence the name.
Yeah.
There's a tiny home on Parkview Drive on the corner that might be a.
That's not.
The base is probably about the width
Yeah.
of this room here. It's
The one in
very
the corner-
vertical, but
Yeah. No, that's not. Yeah, that's not.
so
a
it's smaller
tiny
than
home.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the tiny homes tend to be, and under the building regulations, it's up to a maximum square footage. But some of the changes to the building code would include things like ceiling heights, door entrances, in egress and egress provisions. Since a lot of the tiny homes tend to have lofts as bedrooms, the ladder does not need to meet the typical staircase rise over run kind of provisions of the building code for a regular home. So some of those smaller changes like that have been amended to allow people to build tiny homes. one of the big questions will be how they will be, whether or not we're going to allow them to continue to be skirted like a mobile home, where you can just take the wheels off and they're skirted around, or whether or not we're going to require them to be permanently attached to a foundation.
Okay, thank you.
So we
Coun-
just think of them as just a tiny home, a tiny single-family home. And that's, I think, how we're going to be addressing them.
Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just have a couple of things with regards to the miners' landing. I went in and had a look at their website, and it does look amazing. It looks great, actually. One of the I've had. There's probably been about 10 or 15 people now that have mentioned to me about the traffic piece, about potentially getting a set of lights there, the increased traffic that will come from there. I know, Mayor Snow, I think you had said that there was some sort of a traffic study done at one point. So I'm just wondering, sort of, is it sort of like a wait and see, or what?
No, a traffic study was completed.
Yeah.
Based on the number of units, and they will be putting in a turning lane.
Okay.
I have to look at the report, and maybe the engineer, I don't even know if our engineer has had an opportunity to look at it. But that was a requirement from them to find out what type of traffic
Sure.
impact there would be.
Right.
And if there was any recommendations to have them address those. So one of the things was to make sure that the entrance aligned directly across from the research station.
Right.
And then their secondary exit that they have
Okay.
was moved further east so that it wouldn't be a problem. Because where it is now, if anybody knows, it's on a really difficult
Sort of that.
angle.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that will be coming off at a right angle intersection.
Okay. Okay, thank you. The other question I had was around the Encore piece. I'm just curious as to why, because the architect, so the same architect was going to do both projects before, I think.
Same architect was going to do the build larger apartment buildings, not Ryan's Park.
Not to do the Ryan's Park.
Right.
Okay. So do they have any, because the Ryan's Park has to go in first? Or
I think that was part of their plan. It was part of their plan that's what they wanted to focus on first.
Okay.
So they are still trying to find somebody from my last communication with them.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Worship. Going back to the first section, Bev, about the good news, they're eliminating the $5,000 threshold. Is that going to cause any problems with inspections? And maybe it doesn't cross at all. And I guess number two is, does that mean we're going to get cheaper bills from the county for inspections?
I don't know. I think that we're going to have their CAO is going to have a conversation with them. I don't know exactly how they do their billing. They do it based on an estimate amount of inspections that they do. But that's something that could theoretically come down a little bit if they're not going to be doing as much.
Because even with non-structural, if if someone had to pull a permit, the building inspection office would be forwarded to them, correct?
Right. Anything that requires a building permit, they would be required to do their inspections.
So that we've eliminated that
Yeah.
unless they.
So we were somebody was replacing their roof. I mean, roofs are expensive. You know, you could spend $10,000 easily on a roof, but they really don't do a lot of inspections on those.
Yep.
Structurally, it's nothing structural. You're just putting tar and shingles on a roof. So those kinds of things are being eliminated from needing a building permit.
So I guess I'll put this to the CAO in this. Do we have data when the county does an inspection for us, whether it's plumbing inspection, whether it's a roof, whether it's a new building? Do we get that data so at least we have tabs on what we pay them for?
We have access to all
to it.
that data.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any further questions? All right, thank you very much, Bev. All right, next is Community Economic Development Coordinator's report. Ms. Young.
Good evening, Council. Is this on here, JWoww? Is this it? Ah, winner. It's 2020, and we've began planning our spring and summer marketing. That is underway. Some of our major features have already been booked and planned. That includes the Saltscapes magazine feature. We have 2 of those running this year. Last year we tried with 1, and it was a great success, so we're going for that again. Our 2020 marketing campaign is called Find Your Fresh, and this campaign will carry on targeting the outdoor enthusiasts as we have been, but also leave more room for marketing to the cultural enthusiast as well. Together, those 2 visitor groups represent 2/3 of the traveling public who find themselves in Nova Scotia for travel or leisure purposes, so we're continuing with our theme of targeting those folks. Following the direction of Council for December, the CEDC has reached out to a few appraisers to determine the best way forward for having the remaining land in the business park appraised. Updates to follow is what I have written here. I'll have something to recommend and present to you in February. The process in determining the cost and timeline for a new or updated hotel feasibility study has also been started. I will have more to report on that again in February. The How to Grow Your Business booklet has been updated and it's ready for print. We are still waiting on the new Have It All Valley brand materials to come over from the Wren so that we can add those into our publication. And once we have that, we can complete the design work and have it printed right away in hard copy, but it is still available in its current version on our website. The data collection and research around the Kentville Business Park is going to be conducted over the winter months. I think I reported last month that we were hoping to obtain a student to help with that. I am reporting this month that we have obtained a student to help with that. Jacob Fenchak is coming to us from the Acadia Community Development Program. He's a 4th-year student athlete in the Community Development Program, and he specializes, or eventually will when he has his degree, in environmental and sustainability studies. Jacob is going to join us starting on February 17th, and he'll be here for 6 weeks. Under projects and beautification, the Kentville Business Park Working Group delivered a new campaign this holiday season. You just heard all about it. If you haven't seen the videos or seen the coverage, you've been living under a rock, I dare say. It went viral, and we're really excited about the attention that got us. Sorry, I was talking about KBC, but I was reading about the Kentville Business Park. Minor mix-up. The Business Park Working Group delivered a new campaign called Light Up the Park. The businesses in the park were encouraged to decorate using lights, and the town jointly promoted this as an area for visitors to drive through over the holiday season. The winners were announced at a presentation on December 20th at Capital Paper. First place went to Capital Paper, and second was awarded to Annapolis Valley Air Management, with third going to Triple E Solutions, who had the idea for the campaign in the first place. So we're calling that a big success and hoping for more participation next year. The holiday lighting has been removed for this year, and the planning for the spring beautification efforts downtown is underway. Specifically, we are looking at adding more ornamental and decorative lighting to complement what is already in place. The downtown signage project has been suspended in order to preserve budget and will be picked back up in the spring. I'm working with support from the Public Works Department, the Recreation Department, and the Planning Technician on a conceptual plan and proposal for Council's consideration at the February meeting of CAC. It will be called the Center Square Activation Project, which will be recommended as a pilot for the summer of 2020, and it will aim at increasing and diversifying the activity downtown. It will increase greenery and decorative lighting in Center Square, and it will improve the general safety and attractiveness of the square itself. The plan will be in alignment with the priorities of Council as outlined in our recent strategy session and be a shining example of placemaking best practices. The CED is very excited about this upcoming proposal, and I look forward to presenting that to you in February. Under tourism and events, Kentville is once again partnering with the towns of Berwick, Wolfville, the County of Kings, Annapolis Valley Chamber of Commerce, and the Valley Wren to put together a regional tourism booth for the Saltscapes Expo that happens in the spring. The Planning Committee has its first meeting scheduled for later this month. It's actually tomorrow. We're looking forward to see what we'll feature this year. And under other, we've got this special project video by KBC, which is what I started to talk about earlier. I repeat here, it was really, really awesome project that was completed very well on an efficient, tight timeline and budget, and the impact of that is still being felt. So that's all I have to report this evening.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Questions? Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Worship. Thanks, Lindsay, for the report. It was good.
The Center Square Activation Project. That sounds super exciting.
It is very exciting.
Yeah, I like the idea of doing something with that part of the town. I think it's going to be great. Will anything? I know you don't want to say too much about it, but will anything change, like with parking spaces or anything like that, or does it? Will it have any effect on that?
There may be a slight modification to the parking layout in the square for that period of time when the activation is happening.
Okay.
It will not permanently disrupt anything in there. There's 2 permanent features of the project overall, and those will not affect parking in any way.
And you can't say what they are.
Well, I don't want to give away the whole
I
thing.
know.
I mean, I
No.
could stand up here and rattle it off, just great.
No, that's
but
great.
it's just not quite ready, and
Yep.
and Kirsten is working on the most amazing visual for you guys to go with this, which is
great.
kind of part and parcel why we're taking our time to kind of roll it out, because we want to make sure that we're doing it thoughtfully and making sure that when you see it, you'll know exactly what it's gonna be, and hopefully you'll be excited about it like I am.
Great. That's exciting. Thank you. Good.
Councillor Maxwell.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hi.
I'm a little concerned about a hotel feasibility study.
Okay.
I believe I read the last one, and that was quite a few years ago. But I think one of the outcomes from that study was that we needed to provide more year-round activities in order to attract a hotel in this area. And I don't know that we've done that yet. And so I'm wondering if you went back and looked at the outcomes of that last study, what was suggested before we go ahead and spend money on a feasibility study. Have we accomplished the things the outcomes that were recommended? If we have, then yeah, go ahead and do it. But if we haven't, then I would be cautious about spending money on that sort of thing. That's just my input there from that. Also, we also talked about greening up the area around the clock.
Yeah.
Is that still on the books, or?
I haven't specifically researched a project for implementation in that area. I know it did come out in our session here.
Yeah.
If that is something that council wants to do, I can certainly start that research and get that budget in place and present a conceptual plan for that area, although I would say probably implementation would have to wait until the spring of 2021 at this stage.
Right.
But absolutely a great idea and something I would definitely want to champion if that was direction that was given.
Yeah, it seemed to be very well received by council.
Your Worship, is it okay if I respond to the hotel question or comment?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is that okay? So first thing, we're looking into what the budget and the timeline would be that would be required for a new study, but definitely not ordered a study or gone down that road too far.
Yeah.
And thank you for your feedback about what the study suggested we do. I would say we have come at least halfway down the road, if not the full way down the road, on improving some of the areas that the study mentioned, including the events that we host. The second thing is we've lost 2 motels since the study was completed, so it's really not accurate anymore with regards to the numbers and the data that they used.
Right.
So the study that we have now is basically not useful in any way.
Right.
So if it is something that council is interested in attracting, we do need a new study, and I will wait to see what maybe is put into the budget for that in the next fiscal. Just doing research right now.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
CAO, you wish to address?
Just a comment on top of Councillor Maxwell's comment with regards to Center Square, that area. Yes, it was part of our workshop, and hopefully by the end of this week, all of council will have the notes and the information, everything pulled together for you from that session. We're not moving on anything until you see that and you approve it, and then once you've done that, then we can start moving forward on some of those.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to our next report, Parks and Recreation. Director Bedingfield, please.
Good evening, Council, and Happy New Year. Under facility, as always, our Kentville Centennial Arena is in full operation. And like every month, you can go online and see the full list of things that are happening, or give them a call and they can let you know. Every year, just as a reminder, we lay off or transfer the majority of our park staff. So we only actually have one facility, or we have our facility manager left along with our maintenance person, and they're the ones that are in charge of making sure that our parks and trails are open and safe for folks in the winter. So to remind folks that it is the winter season, so you do need to be cautious when you're using them, and that ice does happen, especially in this province. The other thing that we have made a concerted effort to be consistent on, so far we've been able to do it once this year, and that is laying track for cross-country skiing. We've been working quite closely with cross-country ski in Nova Scotia, and usually within 24 hours after any snowfall, assuming that it doesn't then turn into a rainstorm, which could happen, we do lay track along the Harvest Moon Trail, around the running track, and in the gorge. And when I say laying track, which I just realized is lingo, I mean 2 sets of tracks for classic skiing, and then also groomed for skate skiing for those that like to have a really, really good cardio workout. So we actually are starting to get a consistent response from the community, who are just chomping at the bit to get out on those facilities. So we're quite excited about that. Under programs and operations, to support the health and well-being of our business community, we've launched a summer winter wellness session. So you'll see something available to do at lunchtime Monday through Friday that's either free or low cost. And we're pretty excited to be able to offer that, and that is coming from a direct response from folks who find themselves in Kentville over the noon hour looking for something to do, and all of that can also be found on our website. As well, just another shout out to valleyconnect.ca if anybody's looking for any type of activity. Of course, all of the Valley Recreation Departments, almost all of them, pay into valleyconnect.ca to help with advertising. I just wrote notes on my page and I can't even read my handwriting. Yeah, because of our inconsistent weather patterns this year, rather than having a winter festival or a Take the Roof Off winter event, we've decided to move it to pop-up events. That means that usually by Tuesday or Wednesday before the weekend, we'll let the community know if there's going to be a sledding party, if there's going to be a fort building party, whatever that is, based on the weather. In previous years, we've put in so much effort into planning these big events, and then inevitably, regardless of how many weather days you have, they're always canceled. So we're throwing in the towel and trying this approach, and you're going to see more and more of these type of pop-up events happening all across the valley, because everyone's feeling just as frustrated as you can imagine. We have a huge list of things that are happening. I'm not going to go over them. Again, they're all on our website. I will encourage you to get out and try some of them and talk to your community members. I can personally say that we have currently at this moment 2 of our staff members playing some serious recreation pickleball at KCA school, so anytime you want to step out and enjoy those things, please do so. This was the first year we offered up free skating passes as stocking stuffers. If you remember last year and this year, we had them available for Halloween treat giveaways. We had someone come in and say, I'd like to buy some for to put in the stocking, or maybe give them to Santa so Santa could do that. And it was a huge success, and so we're going to continue to do that throughout the year. And thanks to everyone who supported that. We have a few up-and-coming workshops that don't necessarily require weather, which is really great. We have an ice safety and outdoor skating workshop that will be taking on January 18th. There is an indoor component, and then assuming the weather's good, there'll be an outdoor component. This is part of our campaign to let folks know that not only in Kentville we have 3 natural ice surfaces, but of course in Nova Scotia you're never far from a lake or a body of water that you can access, and it's a really great opportunity to do that. But what we're hearing from folks is that they feel really uncomfortable on how to check the ice and how to make sure that it's safe, and the skills to do that. So this is a workshop that we're offering through one of our partners, Northeastern Ventures. The other one is Learn to Cross Country Ski, and a ski waxing workshop put on by, literally he calls himself the ski guy, but he's a former employee of Cross Country Ski Nova Scotia. It'll be at the Recreation Hub building. This is new this year, for folks to be able to learn how to ski. We have all of the equipment donated, so you don't even have to have the equipment. You can just come and check it out. Of course, capital projects we're in planning, and you'll be hearing more about that over the coming weeks and months, I'm sure. Public engagement and community events. Our Active Living Community Corner has been working with a number of clubs and organizations in town to look at various youth-led models. I know this was a priority of this council coming into your term, and so we've been working diligently at that, and Lydia has taken that by storm and has been doing a number of things, and you'll be hearing more and more about that as we go along. We actually have, much like Lindsay talked about with the planning department, we have 2 Acadia students who are going to be helping her for their 6-week placement to develop that strategy and working with the various youth organizations in town and groups. The applications are now available for our annual volunteer appreciation brunch. I can't tell you how many times we've been asked for these applications, even though it's a number of months away, but they're available. So if you know anyone, please come down and get an application. This winter, we're going to try something new in terms of getting people out of their homes, which is one of the biggest times for social isolation when it comes to, especially with our senior population, and we're inviting people to actually come into our recreation department, sit down and help us do a puzzle. We have a puzzle that is being created with one of our parks as the pitcher, and we want you to come in and sit down and put some puzzle pieces in, enter into a chance to win a prize, but also talk to us about what you want to see in Kentville, how you think we're doing, and how we can best support your needs in this coming month. So you'll be seeing that starting to go out soon. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about that's happening next weekend is we have a Winter Kentville Plays initiative, assuming that the weather's good. And where the Kinsman Club has dropped off a number of used Christmas trees in our park. We're going to have kids come down there and learn how to use tools and build forts. And then the kicker is, the next time the weather is good, we're going to have a big sledding party under the lights and light the whole thing on fire, and we're pretty excited about that. Nothing like having a big bonfire in Kentville. You can see my meetings for the past month in December. I was fortunate to be able to take some time off, as was everybody else. So we're all here ready to go for the coming year, and that's my report.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Councillor Pulsifer.
Thank you. Thanks, Rachel. I just wanted to mention, I believe there's noon hour walking at the soccer dome from 12 to 1. Did I read that correctly?
Yep. That would be part of our active living over the lunch hour.
Lunch hour.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Is that, sorry.
I was going to say some of those activities include walking at the soccer dome, there's skating at the arena, or Fridays there's a fitness class. It changes every week here at the rec center.
Okay. Is there any charge for the walking at noon time? Similar to the previous in the morning, 10 to 11 or 11 to 12, whatever that was?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thanks.
Councillor Maxwell.
Hi, Rachel. I was one of the purchasers of the Halloween skating passes.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if we know the rate of return. So how many people who I gave those out to actually came in and used them? I'm kind of wondering that, and if you have the same data on the stocking stuffers.
We have the data on how many were sold.
Yes.
And I can certainly ask the staff, and I have asked the staff to collect them. I just haven't received that. But you're right, it would be really interesting.
Yeah, I'd like to,
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to know what our rate of return is on it.
And how many actually get used.
That's what I
Yeah,
mean. How
yeah,
many
totally.
actually got used
Yeah.
that were given out?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe if we can find that out sometime.
Yeah, I'll ask. I'll ask some of the guys at the arena.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Worship. The community puzzle, I think, is a great idea. And and I'm thinking you're talking about people who are isolated, of course, this time of year. But I think this works right into the initiative we're doing with Dalhousie and the seniors.
The Mentoring Plus?
Yep.
Yep.
I'm just wondering how you're going to get word out to some of the seniors. Not that it's specifically for seniors, because a lot of them don't use social media, don't use. Can we send flyers around? Can we?
Yep, so we have, depending on what our demographic is, we have different approaches to communicating. And sometimes it's everything from social media to radio to sending things home in with the bills, with the water bills and things like that. We also have the New Horizons Seniors Club, and we reach out to them as well. And then it's also through our partners, with our mental health organizations and things like that. And you'll be seeing at least one other initiative that we're working on to tackle social isolation, specifically when it has to do with dementia and memory loss. That's coming up as well. So we're really trying to make a concerted effort for mental health and well-being.
Good, thank you.
Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Your Worship. A little embarrassed to ask this, but I do not know what it means. So learn to cross country and ski waxing.
Yes. So learn to cross-country ski.
I know that part.
Yeah, and then also waxing your skis. Not waxing yourself, waxing
Oh,
your skis.
waxing your ski. Okay. Yeah, well, oh my God.
That's a different workshop. It is part of your leisure. We could look at that as well. This one is specific how to wax your skis.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, on
Thank
that
you.
note, there's no further questions. Thank
That was a good one,
you.
though.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Okay, you all have in your package the police chief's report as submitted to the police commission. Chair, do you have anything that you wish to add to this report from?
We're meeting next week, so I will have something.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right. So now we're moving on to our engineering and public works with our director report. Director Bell.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, Council. This is my report for June or January. Wish it was June 13th, 2020. Relaxing. Focus. Under administration, of course, I still meet weekly with the Public Works crew to discuss the ongoing works and maintenance issues and talk daily with the foreman to inform them of resident calls or complaints. Under programs and operations, we've all begun working now on the drafts for our upcoming 2020-2021 capital and operating budgets in preparation for our first meetings to cut those wish lists and things. Under projects, the new bridge, the three main girders, when I wrote this, they were expected, now they have arrived and were placed last Friday and today. Work will now close up for the rest of the winter on the bridge until spring arrives, when they will return to form and pour the deck and complete the project. Public Works has ordered a new fleet card lock fuel system, which for Public Works, for their gas and diesel pumps, to digitally track usage at the pumps. Public Works, Recreation, and Kentville Police will all use this new system. The system is expected to be installed this fiscal year as part of the 2019-20 capital program. Under the Water Commission, we had a fairly large water break back on December 15th between the Chester Avenue Reservoir and Chester Avenue itself, which was repaired. Didn't impact the street. We didn't lose any asphalt or things, because it was a line that runs perpendicular to Chester Avenue. The old line is cast iron and about 100 years old, and has been repaired several times in the last number of years. This is a main artery and is on the radar for replacement. We had a tender close for a new standby generator for Mitchell Avenue well house, the treatment building. Came in at the low bid was $33,000 plus HST, and will be awarded to Cummins Sales and Service for spring installation. I have a bullet item here just called lead testing, and as Your Worship and Council are aware, through the news and on the media, KCA, among other schools, I guess I have some numbers here, but in the province there are 370 schools under the whole province. Of those, 324 will be receiving bottled water. They only tested 86 schools of the 370. and KCA was not one of those schools. So if they weren't tested, that meant they also failed from a lack of a test. The test has to be done in warm months, about a 5 or 6 month window when the weather's warmer. So, certainly doesn't mean that we have any lead in our drinking water supply or our distribution system, but because there was no test done, KCA will be one of the 324 schools receiving bottled water the rest of this year. Also, we ourselves as a utility will be doing testing in the summer months at 40 random residents throughout the town. Again, this is something that's been put down, through to us by environment. So we're not too happy that we have to do it, but as it stands now, ourselves and all the other utilities throughout the province are doing these tests this coming summer. Under sanitary sewer, the Cornwall Street sewer has been identified as a priority for replacement between Exhibition and Foodland. This section of line has a very flat grade and is combined. It's an old line that has combined storm and sanitary. So we end up paying to treat that stormwater, and right now it's causing issues with the roughly bi-weekly maintenance by our works crew. Have to flush that line because it's so flat. Public engagement, of course, I have frequent phone calls and site visits and a moderate number of drop-ins and letter correspondence under meetings and events. Of course, we have senior staff every Tuesday, and last week I attended my first source water protection committee meeting, and open for questions from Mayor and Council.
Thank you. First question, Councillor Ballin, please.
Oh, thank you, Worship. I just want to say job well done to you and the team looking after the streets the last few weeks.
They've been busy. Yeah.
They've been busy. They've been out there. They've been frequent and on the sidewalks. And I know we've got some more hostile weather coming in the next 48 hours. So
a little bit, yeah. Less than what we thought, I think, originally, but it's still going to be some
I don't
weather.
know where we are in regards to our snow removal budget, etc. Maybe I missed that from Deborah, but we'll get that next month.
It's early yet, but we're so far on par.
Yeah. It's not June though.
It's not June. No, that's right.
Going back to the water issue at KCA, no one likes to see bottled water being used for environmental reasons, etc. But can the province give us a timeline when they'll look at the water at KCA?
They can't test it until I think May at the earliest, so it has to be that warm. That's the standard test for lead, has to be warm weather. It's bottled water they're using, and they're not passing out disposable, 300 ml bottles. I think they're bringing in the 20 liter or 18.9 liter water cooler style coolers. That's my understanding, that they're not passing out disposable bottles, but it's still, yeah. We have great water, and I guess it just can't be used.
It's just the message is not clear.
Yeah, that's true. It isn't.
At whose expense is the bottled water being paid for?
Taxpayers of Nova Scotia.
Okay, so we're not
1.7 million through the province.
Okay.
We all are
directly, but yeah. Okay.
All right. Councillor Maxwell.
Dave, I don't know if this falls under you or not, but I know that downtown we clear like a path on the sidewalk. It doesn't clear the entire sidewalk, and I think the business owners are supposed to clear the remainder.
That's correct, the downtown core.
Right, and I've noticed that the last two, storms, and especially this past one, that very few are clearing that other piece. Like our business owners aren't really clearing that piece. There's only a few of them that are doing it, and I've noticed a lot of seniors and other people getting out of their cars and then stumbling to get onto the sidewalk. And, that's creating a hazardous situation for those people. And I'm wondering if there's anything that we can do to rectify that situation, maybe through you or through KBC or even our new bylaw officer, if we have a bylaw that they're supposed to be cleaning that or not.
To me, it should fall under bylaw enforcement, and I could be wrong, but I'm getting the nod that I'm right, that it is bylaw enforcement. Councillor Maxwell, so
Okay.
that's how it should be handled.
Okay.
In my opinion, yes.
I'm hoping that we can do something
Okay.
about that
We will-
before somebody falls.
We will
Yeah.
look into it for sure.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And I think we've got the right people here in the room that perhaps KBC can remind their folks that it is one of their responsibilities. The town never used to clean the entire downtown. We only plowed certain parts of the sidewalks, and that was part of the deal, is that we would plow the entire downtown sidewalks, but the store owner or the shop owners were responsible to push the remaining snow into the street. They don't even have to move it. They just have to push it into the street, and then the town takes care of it. So that was one of those, I guess, deals that we made. But perhaps KBC could just remind folks downtown that it is snow removal season, and we all play a part. Councillor Bolland.
Thank you. Just to follow up to that, just, within 50 meters of here, this morning I parked my car, along the street, not going to mention where, but not very far away. And you've got 2 feet of snow ice that's been pushed off the sidewalk onto the edge of the road. So then is that something that's on the radar of the men to clean that up? So they're right along the edge of the curbing and
In the gutter, like along Main Street and those sorts of areas?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We clean it and then it gets pushed out, and so
I
it's,
know,
yeah.
it's just the time issue.
They
So.
go. It's a back and forth thing. for
Last
sure.
comment was there was a discussion of a parking study in regards to parking spaces that are not in good spots because of crosswalk visibility. I'm not sure where that's at. Maybe that's a CAO question, but I thought maybe it was under your...
It is on my radar, Councillor Bolland, yes. Previous bylaw enforcement officer did a bit of a report that he gave to me before he left, and it identified some priority ones that were either too close to crosswalks or intersections. And certainly by the time we got it to the stage where we could implement it, it was too late in the year to try to paint and hatch out or remove those stalls, but they're on the radar for spring line painting.
Good.
To remove them
yeah.
and see if we can remove them but not necessarily lose them all. Some of them, there may be 4 in a row, and if we lose one, we may be able to take 3 of the ones that are
there's
bigger.
a couple right over here.
Yeah. That's right. But it'll be the spring.
Good. I don't want to come off anybody's radar.
Hopefully pre-apple blossom line painting time.
Good. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Worship. I'll just add, because I've been through it before, when we talk about snow removal downtown. I think I'm right, and the solicitor will correct me if I'm wrong, but the liability lies with the property owner / business owner. I don't believe the town takes any liability for snow that's not removed in front of a business.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did you want to?
I didn't really want to comment on
Okay.
town's liability or lack of liability
Thank
in
you.
public context.
That's perfect. Thank you. All right. Moving on to admin. CAO, it's your turn.
Communications first.
Okay. Communications report. All right.
Good evening, Council. Just wanted to give you a brief update on some of the things that communications team has been working on. So as you've heard tonight, I think it's a really great reminder to hear from the directors the creative ways that the communications team is working together to target different parts of our town, different residents, and different communities in the town. So, for example, the recreation department is doing really creative things to reach out to very specific people. So, if a seniors group probably isn't going to be online, we don't want to be focusing our advertising and our promotions of seniors activities online. We want to find the ways that they are listening, and we want to speak to that. The planning department, we've heard some amazing ways that Lindsay and KBC have been collaborating. I think the planning department is a real champion of collaborating with existing organizations to enhance our existing communications and their existing communications. And then the admin department, which would mostly be me, I think we're really figuring out the ways to fine-tune the maintenance and the use and the promotion of our website in terms of our what's happening pages, our eat and shop pages, promoting the community use of those pages. We're looking at our web subscriptions that we have now. We really want to be the leaders in communication, in municipal communication in the province, and we want to make sure that our web subscriptions are kind of top of the pack and that they're creative and fresh. So that's one of the things that I'm doing over the winter. And also budget planning that's associated with that, making sure that we have a budget that reflects the vast number of things that we do as our 3 teams work together to get all of this information out. And just as an aside, I had an email today from Andrea Jeffs from the Association of Municipal Administrators, who very politely asked if she could tap into the Town of Kentville YouTube channel to showcase our videos that all of us put out, all 3 of us put out, whether it's the ice thickness or bylaw enforcement or our council videos. She wanted to showcase them at a webinar that she was putting on. So really Kentville is working really hard, and I think we're seeing the benefits of that in all of our programs and all of our communications.
Thank you. Are there any questions? See, you did such a, there it is.
Oh.
Councillor Paulsma, please.
Just a quick question. So what's the best way for, say, an organization or a group or whatever to have information of something they're doing or a little PR on their group or whatever to get that to you? Is there, other than sending an email to, is it the communications team? There's no place that you can just go on town website and say, okay, this is, this group and they're doing this, and could you consider putting this on the newsletter page or the Facebook page? Yeah.
So that's a good question. We have different groups that approach us in different ways. Some groups approach us through Facebook Messenger, but that's not always the best way to reach us. Some groups email communications@kentville.ca and they say, can you put this up on our Facebook page? And we'll often do that, or we'll often give them feedback to help them with their visuals that might be associated with their event or project. Sometimes we have people come in and say, we're a seniors organization and we're not really sure where to start with our promotions. And that's where we can use our team's knowledge of, okay, well, who are you targeting? And we can put you in our newsletter that goes out with our water bills, or we can incorporate that into our multifaceted communications that go out so that it's not hitting the wrong targets. So it really depends on who you are and who you want to reach. Right. So we don't want to just have a cookie cutter, everything goes on our Facebook, but we also don't want nothing to go on our Facebook. We want to really be creative and make sure the right people are getting the right information. Okay. So I would say either email, the newsletter is.
What's happening calendar, they can submit themselves without talking to anybody.
Thank you, Lindsay. So there's a What's Happening calendar, which is new on our website, where community groups can also submit their event through the What's Happening event page on our website.
Okay.
And that will show up on our calendar. And that we look at it and we say, yep, it checks all the boxes, it's clean, it's informative, they're not missing any information, and then we just approve it. So that's a great part of our website that appeals to some people, and other people who want to come in and sit down and chat with us. We also have groups that do that as well.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on, CAO now.
Thank you, Your Worship. So as you have my report there in your packages, Valley Waste Resource Management, at the time that I did the report, there was nothing new to report, but I will have an update later. King's Transit, the purchase of the bus, as you know, was approved at a special council meeting. The Police Commission met on December the 13th. And union negotiations, the collective agreement does remain outstanding. However, preliminary negotiations between myself, the chief, and 2 members have taken place. Kentville Business Park continues to attract interest in businesses, and our commercial realtor and staff have revised the marketing approach, which has supported the increased interest. And the Culkin building, you will get a report on that a little further in this evening. And the Mentoring Plus agreements, they've all been signed. We have had some members of council and staff who attended a full day's workshop on the December 10th in Truro with the other partners, which is the town of Truro and the town of New Glasgow. We developed and submitted the outline of requirements for service sharing for the dedicated communications service for the Kentville Police Department. And that went out to the Bridgewater, Amherst, and Truro Police Services. This is an excellent opportunity for municipal cooperation with other towns, and will also provide a safer and more safer environment for our members. Chief and I did meet with Valley Communications and submitted our notice to discontinue their services effective April 1st, and we are very, very thankful to Ms. Garden and all the staff for their excellent service over the years. Again, not that the service was discontinued for anything that wasn't, it was something that they just couldn't provide for us with regards to the information that the officers require when they're responding to a call. Met with staff and legal, and we looked at ways of streamlining the selling process for lands in the Kentville Business Park. And I met with the executive director and the chair of the Kentville Business Community, and we had a very informative meeting. Thank you very much. Council and staff held a day-long strategic planning review workshop on December 19th. It was an extremely productive workshop with great direction for the year, and as I mentioned earlier, we will have some reporting out of that, hopefully to you by the end of this week. We have been reviewing and updating the Board of Police Commissioners bylaw and we will be looking at the noise bylaw. We're working with the staff and KCA representatives with regards to some possible classrooms for next year, and continuing working on the regional sewer issue. Public engagement, again, emails, drop-ins are all ongoing, phone messages, social media. Attended the Kentville Business Park's Christmas coffee party and the Kentville Police Services Christmas breakfast. I also attended a luncheon at Camp Aldershot and received an update from the commanding officer on the expansion of services at that camp. In meetings, December CAC, November Council, Investment Advisory, weekly Seniors Managers meeting, Board of Police Commissioners, mentoring, meeting with Gordon Michaels on the Mentoring Plus program, meeting with the police union reps, meeting with the Owner Valley Communications, and meetings with King's Transit's general manager, and all regular council-related items have been accommodated, and just the everyday ongoing meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Sorry.
Councillor Savage, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. CAO Rice, where you talk about the business park attracting interest from businesses to relocate, and that the commercial realtor and staff have revised the marketing approach. Can you just talk a little bit about how that marketing approach has been changed?
I think that they're just looking more and promoting it a little bit more from their end.
Okay.
Not necessarily anything that we've changed.
Okay.
But they're looking at a little bit bigger push.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Councillor Pulsifer.
Yes, I just had a question about the Mentoring Plus program. I noticed there was an advertisement for a coordinator for that initiative that we're doing. Is that, does that come out of the grant money that comes through Dalhousie for the promotion of this?
Yes.
Oh, I just wondered the salary.
Yes, absolutely. The Mentoring Plus program is it's a FCM and federal government and Dalhousie University initiative, that we are going to be working with them, but all the costs involved are through our funding agreement with Dalhousie University. The only thing that the town of Kentville is providing is an office space
Okay.
and a computer, and we will have some staff, working with that coordinator. The ads, as you say, are out. The competition closes on the 17th of this month, which is Friday, and we'll be moving along as quickly as possible. And just on that note, we do require a council member. I know that there were a couple of councillors who attended or tried to attend and unfortunately couldn't at the last minute. But out of those, we do need one councillor, and then I will assign one staff to sit on an implementation and oversight committee. And so I will ask that the mayor and council, as soon as they can, let me know, appoint someone so that I can get that person involved.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Any further questions? No further questions? All right, very well then. So we have received all of our reports. If I could have a motion to adopt the staff reports as presented, please. Thank you. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that the staff reports be adopted as presented. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. All right, moving on to unfinished business, a review of committee and commission appointments. CAO, I'll pass that on to you, please.
So, Your Worship and Council, as you know, last month we you approved the updated and amended policy for the appointments to your committees, and so I think we potentially could be maybe a month behind in you appointing your members for your committees. I believe you normally do that in December for January, but I guess, with making the changes. So what I would ask is that I'm prepared to document as you decide amongst yourselves who would like to carry on with what committees, if there's any changes, if please. Thank you.
Is there anybody who's looking for a change? Deputy Mayor.
The only thing that I noticed was that we changed the name from the Finance and Admin to the CAO Evaluation. And I believe, I don't know whether CAO Rice was here, but when we were all sat around the table, we discussed we were all part of the evaluation process. So I'm wondering if maybe that committee should include all members of council, just like, say, CAC.
Absolutely, we can, whatever your wishes are, we can, we'll just add the names, so it's.
Do I need to make a motion for that amendment?
Please.
I would make a motion that the newly formed CAO Evaluation Committee includes all council and Mayor Snow.
I don't think you have to say me separate. If you're saying all council.
Okay.
Flying fingers of fury.
Try. So could you repeat the motion?
That the CAO Evaluation Committee include all members of council.
All right, and that's moved by Deputy Mayor.
Yes.
Seconder, please. Thank you. Councillor Pulsper.
Not yet, but it has to find your clickers.
And if if it's this document we're going by, we need to change the Water Commission and Water Source to Director Bell, because I believe Mr. Henderson has resigned. Okay.
No, we haven't gone there yet.
Oh, okay.
We're still in the workup stages. So we're doing one thing at a time. So we have a motion to change something
Okay.
in the
Yep.
policy.
Yep.
So we're moving, we have a motion that has been seconded to change the composition of the CAO's evaluation committee to all members of council. Voting is now open. Voting is now closed. And the motion is carried. All right, Deputy Mayor, you had something else?
It was just housekeeping, Your Honor.
Housekeeping on...
Water Commission and Source Water Protection, now that we have an active engineer.
Oh,
On my copy, it still says Henderson.
okay, there should be what it is today, and there should be a blank copy.
Yes,
And it just says
It's
body
there.
numbers, doesn't
Okay.
it?
it's attached.
Oh, Henderson, yes.
It's attached to your document.
Okay, yep, right at the very end.
So the first one after the policy document, the first one is the existing committee members and committees, because you'll see that some of them, the names, like the in the first one, it still appears as the finance,
So the second copy under Water Commission is
where
still
there's
has
just
Henderson.
lines with no counselors' names on. That's the new.
Okay, so it's just
It should
under-
read vacant. So,
So the line, the spaces, or the empty
Yep.
spaces, that's where the new committee names will be for the upcoming
Okay.
year.
So, Your Worship, if I can just chime in, we have this discussion every year, and I'm losing count of the periods. Any of council's committees, committees of the town of Kentville,
Yes.
are two-year appointments, and all you're doing annually is reviewing to see whether there will be any changes.
That's
But
correct.
they're still two-year appointments.
that's correct.
And so it would only be outside organizations where the person is then appointed pursuant to the rules of the outside organization. So I think that we are halfway through the second two-year term
That's correct.
of all of your appointments, and that takes them until next year. I think I saw in a report October, but it would actually be until they are replaced by the new council,
That's correct.
which is why it's November. And so anybody who's currently on the list stays on the list unless there's a change, because all this is a review here tonight of those appointments, those two-year appointments that
Yes.
were previously made.
Yes, that's
they,
correct.
But they can choose to change if they so please.
Yes.
They're not obligated to stay for 2 years.
Yeah.
So if there's a request to change, nothing holds them. They can change.
Yeah, that applies to any appointment.
Right.
Yep.
It was a commitment at the time that they were appointed for 2 years, and so it's simply a review.
That's correct. And
So by way of process, which is what we talked about before, if there are no changes, no motion need come forward.
that's correct. Yes. But to change the composition of that, that one committee,
Yes.
we required a motion for that.
Which you just did.
So the one thing that you don't see on here, Hal was on as a citizen. and he had remained longer because we didn't have an engineer. So
engineer, yep.
typically, he would have been able to re-up for two terms, but he had actually re-upped for several. And we were keeping him on because of his expertise. But what you don't see on our list is the staff composition. So Director Bell is
Is
part,
there, yep.
he's a sitting member of both of those committees.
Okay, perfect.
So is there anyone who has, Council, I'm done with you, Councillor Pulsifer, your light is on.
Yes, I'm the representative for the Friends of the Library Committee, and I just wanted to, advise that committee has not been in existence since I became a councillor, so
Okay, it's gone.
it's done. Okay, thank you.
I think once they made their money to get the library going, it
retired.
kind of, fell through. All right, Councillor Maxwell.
Yes, I just noticed that we have a vacancy on the Investment Advisory Committee. Are we going to put an advertisement out for that? Or
There's
how's
one advertisement going out for all committees.
that? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Excuse me. That would be all committees where there's a vacancy.
That's correct, that's correct, yes. We advertise the vacancies annually.
So that there's no change.
There's
then
no
we'll-
changes.
So then we will fill in the blanks and send you all out a clean copy of the appointments. Thank
Excellent.
you.
Perfect. All right, moving on to our next correspondence. We have a letter from the municipality of Barrington. CAO, if you wanted to.
Your Worship and Council, as is contained in your package there, this comes from the municipality of Barrington, and it's to all municipal units in Nova Scotia.
Excuse me.
The municipality of Barrington has made an application to the Department of Education and Early Childhood Development to be able to provide a personal development credit to students who join a volunteer fire department and complete the required training. Joining a volunteer fire department helps students with interpersonal and communication skills, as well as problem solving while serving their community. Along with the personal development of students, this program also has the potential to increase fire department memberships. The age of firefighters is increasing, and departments are finding it difficult to attract younger members. It is key to attract people into the fire department while they are young so they can form a lifelong connection with the service. The Barrington Municipal Council would like to request your support for this application in the form of a letter or otherwise to allow schools in Nova Scotia to offer a personal development credit for students that join a fire department and undergo the required training. Yours truly, Chris Froughton, Chief Administrative Officer.
Councillor Andrew.
All I wanted to say was this is a fantastic idea, and I wish we'd come up with it.
So does our fire department have a junior firefighting program where they could support this?
Not currently.
So I guess my question then would be, how would students at, say, NECAC, CK, or get credit if our fire departments aren't on board with junior firefighters?
Given the issues that I think, if I may, given the issues that I think are issues all around the province, and they certainly are here with recruitment, I would be very surprised if the leadership in our fire service wasn't, interested in facilitating this kind of thing. So I think that's where you'd have to start. The idea is wonderful, but do we have the people? There's no question we have some really terrific people, and we have some real good leadership over at Kentville Fire Service. So I would say it makes sense.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Well, I'd be willing to call the chief and find out if our fire department here in Kentville is in support, and if council so desires, to write the letter of support as a joint effort between the town and the volunteer fire department.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Councillor Maxwell?
When I was teaching, I had a student in my grade 12 class who was a firefighter for the Aylesford Fire Department. And so I'm not entirely sure what the age criteria is, but it could very well be possible that high school students would be of the right age to join the fire department, regardless of whether or not they have this credit or not. So I think it's a great way to encourage young people to come into firefighting, and if the fire departments want that, I think it's a great thing. So,
Councillor Bolland.
Yeah, thank you. Good idea. I'd suggest maybe you take the ball, run with it, and then perhaps if the chief is interested, then he could chat with Vice Principal Mike Landry at NECAC, because NECAC is our Kentville High School, despite the geography, and then maybe leave it to NECAC to see if there's some interest in it. But first, we need to engage the fire department, certainly.
All right. So I will report back on that one. All right, moving on to our FCM attendance. So the conference is planned for the 4th to the 7th of June of 2020 in Toronto, and based on attendance plans, the planned attendees were Councillor Pulsifer and Maxwell and Mayor Snow. So Councillor Pulsifer, do you plan to attend?
There is a possibility of a conflict for me.
Okay.
A personal conflict.
Okay.
So I will not commit.
Okay.
Okay.
So I guess my question is when will you know? Like, will you know in time that we can get someone else?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll put you down as not available at this point in time. All right, Councillor Maxwell, do you plan to attend?
Again, I'm sort of in the same position as Councillor Pulsifer. I don't want to make that commitment at this particular time, so I'd like to make that commitment at the last possible time.
Your worship, if I may,
certainly.
The reason why we're bringing it forward is because, as you most likely know, getting registrations and accommodations and that for FCM is near impossible, and everything opens up the 20th of this month. So
Do we need to provide names? I would think we could book hotels without providing
the hotels are not the issue, it's booking the FAM tours. Because
No, the
No,
familiarization tours.
familiarization tours and the tours that they offer to complement the workshops and that. And if we're not in there and know what you want, you're not going to get any.
And you have to be registered to sign up.
Yeah. So there's some work that has to be done that unfortunately needs to be done as soon as possible. So
I'm going to say that with my branding manner and being 96 and me being one of the go-to people, I'm not going to make that commitment. I also feel that I've been well in service through NSFM and the FCM that we had here in Halifax, and I don't think it's necessary for me to use taxpayer money to attend this, so I'm going to bow out.
All right, so you are not attending?
No, I'm not going to.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Pulsifer, do you think you could give us an answer by the end of January?
Mine is the family commitment, and I will do my best within the next week or so.
Okay, thank you.
it's just that the sooner we get your response, the better chance we have of getting you registered for the workshops that will interest you the most, and you might feel you have the most benefit from. So then the policy is for
Yeah.
3. So is there?
Yep. So we have at least one vacant position. So if you are interested in attending, please send me an email, and we'll make a decision based on, I have no idea what, but we'll figure it all out.
Yeah, I mean, just like I said, if we can just know as soon as possible so that we can make sure that we you can take advantage of what you see as the most beneficial workshops.
All right, moving on to the KBC funding agreement. So the KBC has made a presentation here this evening, and what they are looking for is the advance of the optional $25,000, which, as you will recall, we changed their funding agreement in December of 2018 to enable them to have access to that money for special events as they, or special projects as they designated them, but that 25,000 from the core program funding in each year would only be used for special projects that are those projects approved by both KBC and the town. So we have their action plan, which I'm going to go out on a limb and say was approved by their board, and it was presented here this evening by the executive director and the chair with representation from their board. And they're asking again for the commitment of that optional $25,000. And if you will recall, what they're calling their special project is their communication plan implementation. So it includes professional video productions. We've already seen that at $16,000. The equipment of the purchase of equipment. Now I don't know how capital and operations are dealt with, and whether or not this type of equipment becomes capital, and whether or not it can be expensed under an operating budget. But that is there. And then the other two components are promotions at $7,000 and research into their business hub at $2,500 for a total expenses of $30,000. Now, if you will recall that that the special project funding is $25,000. So if we took $5,000 off that they're taking out of their excess money, and they use that for their equipment purchase, then everything within their request would fall into line to meet a special project, because then there wouldn't be any question between capital and operational. So, Councillor Maxwell.
So I just want to be clear. The total comes to $30,000, but they're asking us to advance $25,000.
That's correct.
Is that correct? So.
We're not asking for the money right now.
No.
No.
Yeah.
But you're going to make up the difference on your own
That's
of
right.
the 5,000.
That's right. We're using all of that we have left in our reserves next year.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Can I make a motion then?
There's still people that
Okay.
are looking.
Go ahead.
Councillor Savage.
I was going to make a motion, so I'll.
Okay. Councillor Ballin. Councillor Ballin.
I was going to make a motion too, but
Okay.
I will make a comment that they've clearly proven their worth. I've been around this building for almost 15 years. This is the greatest team effort I've ever seen with our merchants and our colleagues here, and also with us as well. It takes two people to do the tango, and we're dancing quite well. The key thing I hear is the Facebook presence, the media presence we're getting, and then when I hear that we're seeing actual increased sales at the cash register because of increased foot traffic, that's great. The only thing I'm going to add, though, I want to see more outreach to when we have swimming competitions here in town, we have mountain bike competitions in town. When athletes are coming here, I don't want them to get in their cars and leave. I want to find some sort of hook that if they're coming here to play baseball, maybe they get a coupon that they can get $10 off and spend it downtown or something like that. You need to maybe look at that. I think I've been to conferences all over the country, and often you'll see things in their bags, welcoming bags, with a coupon which then encourages you to go to get that coffee or that bagel or etc. But that's something you should really look at. There's no point in us beating the drums to bring athletes here to do sports, and then they jump in their cars and they go back home. So if we can get them into the downtown like we do with Apple Blossom, that's something to consider. So, but keep up the good work. Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Worship. I just want to just to echo what Councillor Ballin said about the having like coupons and things like that. I think back in the day when it was KDCL, I think we did do that at one point. We offered some coupons for some of the different businesses around, 10% off or whatever, and it went over really, really well. So yeah, I think that's great. And also, when I was reading your report about the fact that we have 25 new businesses in the last 3 years, the town of Kentville, that's pretty significant, and that's pretty amazing numbers. So kudos again to all your efforts, really. Yeah, thank you.
All right. So then we have a request from KBC to be provided with the optional $25,000 funding for the 2020-2021 budget year in the amount of $25,000.
So moved.
Thank you. Did you get that?
So I have that council support the request from the Kentville business community for a grant of $25,000 in accordance with the town of Kentville / KBC funding agreement for a special project for the 2020-2021 budget year.
Yes.
Should probably be special projects.
Yes, special. Have you got special projects?
Do now.
Okay. And have you put can you put optional in front of the 25,000? I realize that our agreement the table still just says optional. It doesn't discuss the special project. The special project is just an addendum, is the only place that it shows up. So just so that's there. All right, so we have a motion to support the KBC request that has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All right. Voting is now open. Voting is now closed. And the motion is carried. Thank you. And I assume that gives you the necessary leverage that you need to move forward and make this happen when your funding comes through under the new budget.
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much for your presentation this evening. It was very well done. Okay, the floor is now open to the public. Please state your name and address. Subject matter, you will have 10 minutes. All right, moving on to our in-camera. The council has confidential business concerning land, legal, and leases, which must be conducted in closed session. We require a motion to go into a closed session to discuss the...
The code of conduct, are we discussing that in camera?
No, we're going to come back out of camera and discuss it.
Okay. So
Yes.
we'll be on
Yes.
in camera.
Yeah, that's why it was number 11. So we require a motion to go into the closed session to discuss the agenda item. There may be a recommendation coming from this discussion, and we will be returning to Facebook Live upon completion of the presentation and discussion. If I could have a motion, please. Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that the meeting move into a closed session. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. The time is 2014.